Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyard channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're going to do a little garden tour for the month of September, and we're just going to tour the end of the season and the lower garden. We didn't get around to doing anything in the lower garden this year. I had big ideas, but nothing really happened because we were just busy doing other things. So I'm going to show you what's going on, which is not much, and we'll talk a little bit about what I had hoped to do and what I hope to either get done this fall or at the very least next spring. I may as well start back here in the shed. So this is a shed that we have been using to store our excess garden things, as well as all the excess pots back there. Next year we are building a large shed that has 4 walls and can be closed up so that things can stay clean and super tidy. There won't be any wind coming through or chipmunks coming through, which is what happens over here. On the other side of this part of the garden, I have compost piles, and Spencer and I had wanted to kind of revamp the compost piles so that they were sorted better and not so much behind this golden rain tree anymore. So hopefully start here and have 3 bins going that way or something like that. But yeah, we just didn't get around to it. We do a slow compost. I've talked about that a couple of times, but we don't, we do turn, but like maybe 2 times a year. And you can see we've got morning glory or bindweed and blackberry all behind there, which needs to get pulled down and pulled away. So there's plenty to do there. But looking a little more beautiful, we did trim up our Weigela. My brother came in and took out a big tree that was it was actually planted over there, but it was leaning towards the sun and kind of laying down on all the Weigela branches. So that did get done, which I'm really excited about. We did not get to our Escallonia right there, but I do believe we'll be able to get that done this fall. In this little triangle bed, Spencer planted some asters along with his hosta, and they're blooming like crazy, which is a fun little bright pop of color back here since everything is just kind of green right now. This has a dark burgundy flower. This has the golden chains, the yellow chains. But you know, this time of year, it's fun to have something sparkling besides dandelions. Yeah, so we just didn't do much down in this area. Normally we do a little bit more, at least maintenance, but the year just kind of got away from us. We worked really hard in this area last year. We planted a bank of limelight hydrangeas. We built this gazebo on the patio. We planted roses. We did all kinds of fun things. And so we got started on it, and I think we just felt like we had done so much down here last year that we wanted to concentrate on the upper gardens this year. Up on this bank, I planted lots of wildflowers this year, and I'm letting them all go to seed. So we've got straw flowers up there. We've got, well, those are straw flowers right there. But we also have the chocolate lace flower and foxglove, and I don't know what all else. Amaranth, maybe? I think so. Everything's kind of done for the season, so we'll just cut it down and they'll all come back next year, which will be kind of fun. And then entering into this garden, which I call the mermaid garden, but it's lost its definition because the mulch is covered in pine needles. The plants are doing great. The anemones came up. They bloomed. The Sun King came up. Looks good. This impatient pillow is my absolute favorite thing. I'm just so pleased with it. It's super exciting. And the tree didn't really put on a whole lot of growth, but this is its second year. So I expect next year we're going to get a lot more foliage growth. The Gunnera, which is this big dinosaur-looking plant, got a lot more leaves than it normally does, but it did not get as tall as it normally does. The last 2 years, it's hit the top or the bottom of this deck, and it didn't do that this year. What other notes? We've got a slow compost over here with lots of wood in it, so we'll be bringing our chipper back here to kind of chip away and get it a little under control. It has our 2 big giant arborvitaes. It's got some staghorn and some eucalyptus tree boughs in there. I did absolutely nothing, barely even looked at the creek this year, which is pretty sad because there's blackberries everywhere. Okay, so then in this area, we are going to redo our pallet walkway next year. I think this is year 4, maybe. And, you know, they just don't hold up to the weather. To the weather and people walking on them and wagons driving over them regularly. So we need to replace a couple of those next year. We do like how our irrigation sprinkler thing worked out, so we'll bury this hose eventually. I just didn't get to it. Let's see. There's not a whole lot of note going on, except that the blue jays and the squirrels are screaming at me. Okay. We have a hydrangea here that's putting on its blooms, and then we have a macrophylla hydrangea over here that's blooming pretty well. But our oak leaf hydrangea, as you can see, has gotten quite large, not one bloom on it. And I had hoped to move this in the spring over to a more sunny location. Never got around to it, so that's still on the docket. And looking back this direction, everything in this garden will go to sleep for the winter, so it'll be really empty in here before too long. And that is kind of it. I guess we could keep going a little bit. Again, this dogwood defoliates. We do have some primroses blooming. We had popped a couple of impatiens in here for summer color, the pink ones. But our primroses, now that the weather is cooler, are starting to bloom. Of course, everything needs to get raked. And the other thing of note, which is super fun, is this ghost viburnum has gotten quite large, and it's just about to be in full bloom, which is awesome. This is the first year it's bloomed. I think this is the 3rd year in the ground, so it really put on a lot of growth in its 3rd year. And that is all that's going on in the lower garden this time of year. Next month, we will include the lower garden in with the backyard garden tour, because even less will be happening in October when it's like raining and really cold. So Anyway, we had a really good summer, and it's been, you know, enjoyable in its own ways. I wish we could have done a little bit more in the backyard, or in the lower garden rather, but there's always next year. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're celebrating your life, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.